High in the branches of a sturdy oak tree, a mother crow settled into her nest. She had carefully crafted this bowl of twigs and leaves, lining it with soft moss and feathers. Inside, nestled amongst her brood of 4, a tiny crow chick had just hatched. His eyes were still closed, his body shivering in the cool morning air. The mother crow gently nudged the hatchling, encouraging him to find warmth under her wing. He was small and vulnerable, his black feathers still encased in downy fluff. He let out a soft, raspy chirp, a sound that would soon grow into the familiar caw of a crow. Around him, his siblings, hatched just a day earlier, jostled for space and their mother's attention. Life in the nest was a constant clamor of hunger and warmth. The mother crow, exhausted but vigilant, divided her time between brooding her chicks and searching for food. With each return, she would announce her arrival with a guttural caw, her beak overflowing with worms, grubs, and other delicacies she had scavenged from the world below. The little crow chick, growing stronger by the day, eagerly awaited his turn to be fed. He would thrust his tiny beak open wide, vying with his siblings for the morsels their mother brought back. As he ate, he felt a surge of warmth and satisfaction, the nourishment fueling his rapid growth. Days turned into weeks, and the crow chick grew rapidly. His downy fluff was replaced by sleek black feathers. He spent his days huddled with his siblings, their bodies a source of warmth and comfort. He learned to recognize the sounds of his parents, their reassuring caws a constant presence in his life. Feeding time was always a frenzy of activity. The parents, tirelessly foraging, would return to the nest with their crops full of food. The chicks, their hunger insatiable, would greet them with insistent chirps and wide-open beaks. The parents, with remarkable patience, would carefully distribute the food, ensuring each chick received its share. Beyond the feeding, there were gentle moments of preening and care. The mother crow would meticulously clean her chicks, using her beak to remove parasites and smooth their feathers. The father crow, ever watchful, would perch on the edge of the nest, keeping a lookout for danger. As the days grew longer and warmer, the crow chick felt a growing sense of curiosity about the world beyond the nest. He would crane his neck, peering through the leaves at the bustling activity below. He watched with fascination as squirrels scampered along branches and butterflies flitted through the air. The time had come for the young crow to test his wings. Encouraged by his parents, he hopped to the edge of the nest, his heart pounding with a mix of fear and excitement. The ground seemed a terrifying distance away. He hesitated, unsure if he was ready. His parents, circling overhead, called out encouragement. With a deep breath, he took the plunge, flapping his wings with all his might. For a moment, he felt the terrifying sensation of falling, but then his wings caught the air, and he was lifted upwards. He had done it. He was flying. His first flights were clumsy and short, but with each attempt, he gained confidence and control. He learned to navigate the air currents, soaring and dipping with newfound grace. His parents, initially hovering nearby, gradually gave him more space, watching with pride as he mastered the art of flight. Flying brought with it the challenge of finding food. No longer could he rely on his parents to deliver meals to the nest. He had to venture out and discover the world's bounty for himself. His parents, skilled foragers, became his teachers, guiding him to promising food sources. The crow chick, now a fledgling, discovered that the world was a noisy and bustling place, filled with a cacophony of sounds. But within this symphony of nature, he began to discern the distinct calls and songs of his kind. He learned that crows communicate through a complex language of caws, clicks, whistles, and even postures. He observed how a particular caw, sharp and urgent, served as a warning signal, alerting others to potential danger. He learned that a series of soft clicks conveyed a sense of contentment and well-being. And he discovered that a crow's posture, the way it held its head or ruffled its feathers, could speak volumes. Within his family group, communication was constant. He and his siblings would chatter amongst themselves, their calls filled with the exuberance of youth. They would mimic their parents' calls, practicing the nuances of crow communication, and they would pay close attention to the alarm calls of adults, learning to recognize the sounds of danger. As he interacted with other crows in the wider neighborhood, he realized that each bird had its unique voice and communication style. Some were bold and assertive in their calls, while others were more reserved. He learned to read the subtle cues in their vocalizations and body language, navigating the complex social dynamics of the crow world. Section 5. Friends and foes in a shared world. The young crow's world extended far beyond the familiar branches of his childhood home. As he ventured further afield, he encountered a cast of characters, some friendly, others not. He learned that the world was a complex web of relationships where alliances shifted and danger could lurk in unexpected places. He encountered other crow families, some welcoming, others territorial. He engaged in playful chases with fellow fledglings, testing his aerial skills and strengthening social bonds. He learned to recognize the resident crows in a particular area, respecting their established territories and avoiding conflict. He also learned to identify potential threats. Hawks, owls, and even cats posed a danger, especially to young and inexperienced crows. He witnessed the swift and silent attacks of these predators, reinforcing the importance of vigilance and quick reflexes. He learned to heed the alarm calls of others, recognizing that a shared warning could mean the difference between life and death. Humans, too, were a constant presence in his world. He observed them from a distance, learning to distinguish between those who posed a threat and those who were indifferent to his presence. He learned to avoid those who might harm him, recognizing the danger of a carelessly tossed stone or a speeding car. Gone were the days of awkward landings and hesitant flights. With each passing day, the young crow grew stronger and more confident in his abilities. He could now soar effortlessly, riding the thermals high above the treetops. He could navigate through dense foliage with ease, his wings barely brushing against the leaves. He had mastered the art of landing, his feet touching down gracefully on branches, rooftops, or even telephone wires. He had learned to judge distances with precision, his keen eyesight allowing him to spot potential landing sites from afar. And he had developed the stamina to cover vast distances, exploring the world with boundless energy. His foraging skills had also improved dramatically. He had learned to identify a wide variety of food sources, from insects and worms to fruits and seeds. He had discovered the bounty of human settlements, scavenging discarded food scraps with opportunistic delight. And he had learned to cache food, hiding morsels in secret locations for later retrieval. This newfound independence brought with it a sense of pride and self-reliance. He was no longer the helpless chick dependent on his parents for survival. He was a capable and resourceful crow ready to make his mark on the world. The world, once confined to the nest and its immediate surroundings, now stretched out before the young crow like an endless tapestry of discovery. He approached each new experience with insatiable curiosity, his sharp mind absorbing every detail. He investigated everything that caught his eye, from discarded trinkets to unusual sounds. He would often pause during his flights, perching on high vantage points to survey the landscape below. He observed the comings and goings of other creatures, learning to recognize their patterns and behaviors. He discovered that the world was full of surprises, both delightful and challenging. He found joy in simple pleasures, such as bathing in puddles of rainwater or basking in the warmth of the sun. He faced his fears, learning to avoid danger while still embracing the thrill of exploration. And he began to develop his own personality, a unique blend of intelligence, curiosity, and a touch of mischief that was distinctly his own. He was no longer just one of many crows. He was a unique individual, navigating the world with his own style and flair. The seasons changed, and the young crow matured into adulthood. He had reached his full size, his black feathers gleaming with a healthy sheen. He had honed his survival skills to a fine art, confident in his ability to thrive in a world full of challenges. As the days grew shorter and the leaves began to turn, he felt a primal urge stirring within him. It was time to find a mate and start a family of his own. He began to notice the females in his social circle, their presence sparking a new kind of interest. He courted potential mates with elaborate displays of aerial acrobatics, swooping and diving, to impress them with his skill and agility. He presented them with gifts of food, carefully selected to demonstrate his foraging prowess. And he serenaded them with a repertoire of calls, his voice taking on a softer, more melodious tone. Finally, he found a mate who returned his affections. Together, they selected a nesting site, a sturdy tree in a secluded part of the forest. They worked tirelessly, gathering twigs, leaves, and other materials to build a cozy nest for their future offspring. The cycle of life was about to begin anew. High above the bustling city, a crow soared through the air, his black wings silhouetted against the bright blue sky. He was a creature of two worlds, at home in both the wild spaces of nature and the concrete jungles of human civilization. From his lofty perch, he could see the sprawling metropolis below, a testament to human ingenuity. He could also see the parks and green spaces that offered refuge to countless creatures, a reminder that nature persisted even in the most urbanized environments. He had come a long way from the tiny, helpless chick in the nest. He had faced challenges, overcome obstacles, and emerged as a strong and resourceful individual. He had learned the language of his kind, navigated complex social dynamics, and mastered the art of survival. And now, as he watched his own offspring take flight, he felt a surge of pride and satisfaction. The circle of life, ancient and enduring, continued, and he, a humble crow, was a vital part of that grand and intricate tapestry.